Hi, so this week we've been going over the topic of group wellness. And on Monday, we went over a lot of studies surrounding group wellness. Yesterday, we went over some more information. I think you'll find that information very valuable, in particular with family benefits and flexibility and some reporting around that. Today, I'm going to touch on that again, just slightly. And I'll also be getting into some details around communication and some feedback as to why employees are leaving. And then I'll be getting into planning and how to implement a wellness program and choose an initiative. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so if you've watched any of my videos before, you know that I am concerned with this topic, creating stickiness with our employees. We've all heard of creating stickiness for our customers and clients, but what if we focused on stickiness with our employees? What would less turnover do for your business? What would a happier, healthier, more loyal employee base do for your business? Okay, reduce turnover, and it would actually improve your client experience. And change is inevitable in business, and change is vital. So we had the Great Resignation. So this is from several articles that came up last year, in the middle to the end of last year. And some of these statistics popped up, and I wanted to review them with you. 41% of workers considered quitting or changing professions. 38% plan to quit in the next 6 months. And according to those studies and surveys, that would be around the first of the year until about now. 50% thought about leaving their current job in the last 12 months. 16% cited they considered leaving because their employer doesn't offer benefits. 13% considered leaving over work flexibility. And this is something that I'm seeing pop up over and over and over. Okay, some of the statements from Indeed as to why employees are leaving. So, needing more of a challenge, looking for a higher salary, feeling uninspired, wanting to feel valued, seeking a better management relationship, career advancement, needing more feedback, better work life balance, that flexibility piece, and wanting more independence. Okay, so I just want to say, as I was going through this and I was looking at my presentation about implementation and what to expect and where to start and all those wonderful assessments and questions, it needs to be said that a strong foundation and starting with trust is the most important thing. If you are rolling out a wellness initiative or spending tons of money on your employee benefits, not a, it's not really going to matter as much if the employee doesn't trust the employer. And misinterpreting a statement is something that happens on a regular basis. So, what I mean is, and I'll get more in this probably tomorrow, when we are communicating, we have what's interpreted and then what is meant. And oftentimes, especially in today's fast paced environments, we're moving really quickly and we're communicating really quickly, sometimes without second thought. And a manager or someone in charge of a communication may speak with an employee or write to an employee and they meant it one way and it's interpreted in another. That is going to happen all the time. Employees will be more forgiving and more likely to give the employer and manager the benefit of the doubt if they trust and if there's consistency. So actions speak louder than words. So if you're consistent and you follow through and you do what you say with your employees, you do things on time, you meet deadlines or you give them a heads up if a deadline isn't going to be met, then that's going to solidify trust. Explain why you're making a change or why you're asking an employee to do something. Really, really helps in communication, listening, and doing reflective listening. So when you're explaining why you're ruling a particular initiative, why we want to do it. We're really excited to encourage our employees to have a better work-life balance and get happier and healthier. We care, that tone, that caring tone. And asking the employee, if you're asking that employee for feedback, what do you think about that? And they tell you, I think it's a great idea. I understand that you're going to have people come to my house and work out with me or something. They might misinterpret what you said in some way. And it might not be, it's not what you said, but it's interpreted. So you would say, oh, I understand that you think that people are going to be coming to your house and you're going to get a personal trainer at your house every week. That's not exactly what we're doing. We're doing X, Y, and Z. So reflective listening and repeating back what you believe each other is trying to communicate, or asking the employee to repeat, or, and of course, don't say, oh, repeat so I know that you understand what I'm saying, in a soft way, just stating, is that how you understood? Is that how do you feel about that? How do you, just asking the employee questions as follow-ups to make sure that both sides are practicing reflective listening. Avoiding assumptions, so not assuming that everybody understands what you're talking about, or repetitive communications is a great way to get this across. Sometimes what I'll see is there'll be one email about a program and that's it. It's like, okay, well, I told them. Well, there's a lot of clutter in the inbox, and there might need to be several communications around a particular topic to really have it sink in, and follow-up conversations. Note differing communication styles. So taking a DISC profile or some sort of other profile with your staff and understanding who falls into what category, and also what way they learn best. Are they visual? Do they prefer written communications? And covering all those categories for your employees so that everyone is receiving the communication in the way that best serves them. Feedback, compliment, and constructive criticism. Tone matters. So in an email or in a text, you can convey a tone, and especially in spoken word. So make sure that you are in a positive mindset. It will come across if something didn't go the way that you had planned as the manager, and you haven't worked that out and come up with a solution and giving direction and finding a training opportunity in that scenario, it's going to come across as negative and attacking, and it's not going to come out right. It's going to come out as demeaning, and the employee is probably going to get insulted. So just making sure that you're giving feedback with a compliment and constructive criticism, and having a sincere tone. Offering a solution, looking at what the person has done and the results, and then giving direction on how to improve next time. Look at it as a training opportunity or an education opportunity if the employee didn't complete the task in the way or in the quality or in the time frame that you had expected. It may be you got to look at what your responsibility is as the manager. I didn't explain it in a clear enough way, perhaps, or I didn't teach you in the way you needed to be taught or trained or educated. So let's work on that, and let's re-educate and re-engage and make it a trainable, teachable moment. Okay, encouraging reflective listening. You as the manager may know what this is, and your employees may not. So encouraging questions after you have either spoken about a program you're rolling out or some sort of an implementation, a change, a task. Let me know what you think about that. How do you feel about that? Do you think you can meet that within the deadlines? Do you think you can log on to that program at some time in the near future? If so, when? Just encouraging them to repeat parts of your conversation and the important parts of the conversation. Summarizing before you conclude. Starting with a written communication can be great. That way, if your employee comes back and says, oh, no, you said that it needed to be done in September, and it was a verbal conversation, it's hard to then go back and say, no, I said, August 1st. Those written communications can really help when there is a miscommunication or misinterpretation, to go back and see where clarity was missed. Confirm with spoken word. Confirm that the employee read the communication and understood the communication and the important parts of the task, the deadline, the milestone, or the program that you're implementing. Follow up in then written communication after you speak with somebody face to face or over Zoom or in person or over the phone. Our conversation was about X, Y, and Z. Thank you for your time, all that good stuff. These are all things I know that we know, but these are reminders. It's not always necessarily to teach you, it's to remind you of these best practices. Okay, so major causes for low productivity. If an employee, as we saw, employees didn't feel challenged, employees didn't feel valued, employees didn't feel appreciated, there's a lot of that theme when employees are leaving their current positions. So focusing on how do we improve productivity can help in opening the lines of communication. It can help employees feel more valued and improve their value at work. It can improve their self-worth. There's so much, it's just bleeds over into everything. So 10 major causes for low productivity. I broke it down into 5. Lack of skill, which is education or information, not getting the proper information, direction from their management, or they're not getting it in a way that is best suited for their personality and their learning category. Do they like written communication, videos, visual, all those different categories for receiving information? Lack of technology. There may be systems or processes, consistencies, inefficiencies, inconsistencies, dysfunction that is causing frustration. And it may be a training issue. Maybe you do have the technology, but your employees don't really know how to use it completely or a section of that technology in the correct way. Relationship between the employee and the employer, a lack of commitment. So you want to, when there's commitment, there's transparency, accountability, consequences, rewards, and appreciation. This all goes back to that trust and the communications around trust. Physical conditions. I would include mental health in that piece as well. Okay, speaking of mental health, we've got 41% of US adults reporting anxiety and depression. Okay, this is going to tie back to self-worth and they're feeling valued in the workplace and so on. If employees are not in a positive, healthy mental state, it's going to be difficult for them to appreciate their job, find joy in their job, and be productive, of course. It's a spiral. Here's what executives report. 37% see a greater retention with a healthy workforce, and 45% see higher productivity. So employees are experiencing anxiety, and executives see it as a benefit when their employees are happy, both physically and mentally. 9 in 10 employers, 92%, indicated that enhancing the employee experience is a priority. So there was lots of inconsistency over the last several years. Onboarding was a mess. Communications have been inconsistent. Lack of face-to-face meetings, lack of checking in with employees. Before the pandemic, 52% said they would be enhancing the employee experience, and now it's 92%. Okay, so employers are recognizing this as an issue and are wanting to build initiatives around the employee experience. So when asked about the impact of the pandemic, 52% said it hurt financially, 37% said it negatively shifted their culture, 43% reported a negative impact on the employee experience. Like I said, many employers were used to doing onboarding face-to-face, and now they're doing onboarding in a remote setting. And there's a bit of a transition period to getting online systems, and more consistencies perhaps around onboarding and the employee experience. 40% reported a negative impact on employee engagement. Again, if that is not scheduled and it's not replicatable and built into a system, it can be difficult to get employee engagement if employees are not consistently using a particular communication system or technology. 35% experienced a decline in employee productivity. 50% said it had a negative impact on employee well-being. So these are really big numbers. So transformative employee experience. These organizations that are really nailing the employee experience are more likely to have a net positive impact. 40% employee experience. So they improved their employee experience by 40%. They improved their organizational culture by 44%. They improved employee engagement by 35%, and they improved employee well-being by 28%. And these organizations that are really focusing on the employee experience and online enrollment systems and onboarding systems and consistency in the onboarding process. So you have to think about it as if the onboarding process is botched, it's a first impression. It's just like in sales or in marketing or with your clients. If you botch that initial experience with you as the employer, you're starting behind the finish line, right? You are really digging yourself a hole and then having to make up for it. What if you were able to offer an employee experience that was consistent and clean and organized and consistent and following up throughout the process of the onboarding experience? Overwhelmed right now. It's a difficult job. And however, if that was more systematic and cleaner and consistent, what would that do for the employee experience? I mean, it's really, really low hanging fruit. If you're not doing onboarding in an online system and tying that to follow-ups within a clear, concise, easy to use system, then you're going to be starting behind the 8 ball. Okay. And choosing a system that is also has a good user experience, right? This all comes from software lingo. This EX comes from UX, which is user experience in the software space. So just like how people love the user experience of Apple software because the icons are so clear and it's so intuitive, there are better ways to have employee systems and onboarding systems and online enrollment systems that are more intuitive. So there's quite a bit of outdated systems out there, unfortunately. Health insurance and insurances in general are behind banking as far as getting up to date with technology, but there has been some progress. So there are some available. 2.7 times significantly higher productivity than their industry peers. These organizations that are nailing the employee experience, and 90% more likely to report lower annual turnover than their industry peers. Huge. Okay, so for employees who can work remotely, which of the following best describes how your organization plans to approach work schedules? So I'm seeing this more and more where we've got hybrid models, we've got remote, and employees are jumping ship for remote positions, especially with gas prices and inflation. Employees are looking at their budgets and really deciding, okay, can I go to a job with a similar pay and work remote and not drive my car, right? That's one way to fight inflation. And it is certainly something that is catching on like wildfire. I'm just seeing this ball rolling, and there is a huge push for remote work. Among firms offering health benefits, the percentage of firms that provide an opportunity to complete biometric screening. So this is something that can be done at home or in a lab close to the employee's home. And one of the items that's used in a wellness program is biometric screening. So we want to measure where the employee is today and watch them improve as they progress through the program. Now, of course, the employer isn't watching them. Okay, this is all HIPAA protected information. A third party is holding and housing that data, and then it's put into an aggregate report for the employer so that they can see how their employees who are participating is improving over a period of time. Okay. Among firms offering health benefits, the percentage of firms offering specific wellness programs. So what are employers offering? They're offering smoking cessation. Okay. So firms over 200 employees at 70%, nearly 70%, programs to help lose weight, 60%. Okay. Other lifestyle and behavioral coaching, 70%. At least one of these, 83%. Okay. Big numbers. Okay. And again, I bring up wellness in this context because it is a positive marketing campaign, basically, to your staff. It's a positive message that you can, and a positive conversation that you can start with your employees. And it is a good PR move as far as showing that the values of your organization, valuing your employees, valuing the health and wellness of your employees. So in looking at that Indeed report, when we see that employees are not feeling appreciated by management, they are not feeling challenged, although this may be tied to personal struggles with anxiety and depression, like we're seeing that 41% number, many people are suffering of that. If the employer is there to assist them in feeling better, that is going to really help tie to the loyalty of that employee and the retention of the employees. Okay, in addition to the onboarding and systems that make communicating easier with your staff. Okay, so I'm going to stop that here. I have more on questionnaires, assessments, how to choose your initiatives, all of that geeky fun stuff. And I appreciate you hanging out with me today. If you found this video useful, please like and subscribe. If you know of anyone that would benefit from hearing this information, please share it. I appreciate you, and I will talk to you tomorrow.